Test. Okay. Don't know why that broke. Everything's been breaking. Woke up this morning and cats had pooped and peed in my office. So that was super fun. They were only in here for like an hour or two. And that's what they decided to do. Anyway, but it's all okay, right? We're just making it through. What we're doing today is we're on day 4 of CCNA. If you were with us last night for the Gears of War stream, thank you very much for being there. That was super fun. A lot of fun. I got some more videos coming out for both channels, the gaming channel and the tech channel. So if that's something that interests you, please check it out. Keep up with it, all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, and yeah. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get into this right now, actually. Please play.
Welcome to Jeremy's IT Lab.
Nope, not playing. Of course, because why would it? Why would it play? Okay, so there's that, and I'm just gonna assume. There we go. Okay, so now we got some chill music going on in the background. I hope that it sounds okay. You're actually a little loud. I don't understand. Like, I don't mess with my sound settings. And then all of a sudden, like, they all change somehow. Let's see here. I just want to check to make sure that everything sounds okay.
Lab. This is a complete course for the CCNA.
Okay.
Why does music only have 12 notes? I mean...
Everyone's all up in arms about the Steam machine. All right. Here we go. Let's watch it. We are going to watch it full length, full HD, and at 1.5 speed. Now, I don't know if we'll watch the entire thing. We probably will, but I might cut it out. So here we go. Let's go for it.
Including everything you need to pass the exam, all 100% free. Make sure you stay tuned till the end of the video for the quiz to test your knowledge of the material in this video. Also, remember to download and use the Anki flashcards with the link in the description, which will help you very much in your studies. Let's get started. In this 4th lesson, we will finally get started actually configuring some Cisco devices.
Let's do it.
This lesson is about the Cisco IOS CLI. Cisco IOS is the operating system used on Cisco devices, like Windows on a PC or Mac OS on an iMac. Keep in mind, Cisco's iOS is not related to Apple's iOS for iPhones. Now, what is a CLI? CLI stands for Command Line Interface.
Command line interface.
It's the interface you use to configure Cisco devices, like routers, switches, and firewalls. Here's an image of the Cisco IOS CLI. The color scheme can be changed. This is just the default color scheme with the software I used when taking this screenshot. Now, there is also something called a GUI, which means Graphical User Interface. Here's an example of a Cisco GUI, from Cisco's ASDM, which can be used to configure Cisco's firewalls. However, we won't cover GUIs in this course, and most network engineers prefer to use the CLI over a GUI. Now, how exactly do you connect to a Cisco device to configure it with a CLI? There are a couple methods, but I'm going to talk about connecting via the console port. Connecting to a device via the console port typically involves bringing your laptop to the device and connecting to the console port of the device.
Yes.
There are also methods to connect to a device remotely, but we'll cover that later. In any case, when you first configure a device, you have to connect to the console port. This is an image of a Cisco Catalyst switch, and notice the 2 console ports. One of them is an RJ45 port, just like the switch's network ports. The other is a USB Mini B connector. You can connect to either of these, but let's say we're going to connect to the RJ45 port. You're going to need the proper cable. This is the kind of cable you will use. Notice one end has an RJ45 connector, just like the Ethernet UTP cables we looked at. The other end is a DB9 connector. However, most laptops these days no longer have a serial port to plug the cable into, so you'll probably need an adapter, like this, to connect to a USB port on your laptop. The actual name of the cable on the left is rollover cable. The name is similar to a crossover cable, but it's different than an Ethernet UTP crossover cable. Like in an Ethernet UTP cable, there are 8 pins on each end that are used. However, they connect like this. Pin 1 to pin 8, pin 2 to pin 7, pin 3 to pin 6, pin 4 to pin 5, pin 5 to pin 4,
I don't
pin
know
6 to
why
pin 3,
that is.
pin 7 to pin 2, and pin 8 to pin 1. So, once you've connected your computer to the device, how do you actually access the CLI?
Putty.
Well, you need to use a terminal emulator. This one here, PuTTY, is a popular choice. You can get it at putty.org. Select Serial here, and then click Open, and you should be connected to the CLI. You should be able to connect with the default settings, but click Serial down here, and you can view and edit the default settings for the serial connection. Note that these settings match the defaults on Cisco devices, so you'll probably never have to change them, but it's good to be aware of them and try to remember them for the test.
Yeah.
The speed, also known as baud rate, is 9,600 bits per second. There are 8 data bits and 1 stop bit. Understanding data bits and stop bits is outside of the scope of the CCNA, but basically it means that for each 8 bits of data, 1 stop bit is sent to mark the end of the 8 bits. Parity is set to none.
That makes
Parity
sense.
is used to detect errors.
Because then how would you know?
And finally, flow control is set to none. Flow control is exactly what it sounds like, controlling the flow of data from transmitter to receiver. But again, you don't have to worry about the details for the exam. Just remember Cisco's defaults. Speed of 9,600 bits per second, 8 data bits, 1 stop bit, no parity, and no flow control. Once you connect to the device, you will be greeted with a screen like this. Since this is the first time booting up the device, I am asked if I would like to enter the initial configuration dialog, and I answer no. Then I press the Enter key to get started, and now I'm free to type commands into the CLI. When you first enter the CLI, you will by default be in what's called user exec mode. User exec mode is indicated by the greater than sign next to the hostname of the device.
It's been a long time since
Note that the default hostname for this device is router. The text displayed here always indicates the hostname of the device. All devices have a hostname, and for a Cisco router, the default name is router.
Okay.
User exec mode is very limited. Users can look at some things, but can't make any changes to the configuration.
Yeah, that needs privilege.
Usually, you don't do anything in this mode. You also might hear it called just user mode. So let's move to a mode with a little more power to make changes to the device. If you enter the enable command in user exec mode, you will be placed in privileged exec mode.
Yeah.
In privileged exec mode, a pound sign, or hashtag, whatever you want to call it, is displayed.
Pound sign.
Privileged exec mode provides complete access to view the device's configuration, restart the device, etc. This is not the mode in which you actually change the configuration. However, you can change the time on the device and also save the current configuration file, among many other things. This is a comparison of the commands available in user exec mode on the left and privileged exec mode on the right.
Oh,
Also,
wow.
I'm taking these screenshots from Cisco Packet Tracer software.
That's a big difference. I remember some of these. So connect, disable, disconnect, enable, exit, ping. I knew you could ping, resume, show, SSH. Oh, I didn't know you could open up SSH in just user exec mode. Interesting. Telnet, whichever one always closes and like turns off anyway. Auto clear, clock, configure. Yeah. Config is the big one. Reload. Okay, I'll have to remember that because I really thought that SSH was in privilege. So that means that anybody could just get in here and open up a secure shell client connection. I guess that makes sense. Anyway, let's keep going.
Packet Tracer is a network simulator. It is a fantastic resource for the CCNA.
We will do the
but it is
Packet
limited
Tracer
beyond
after
the
this.
CCNA. There are many things which Packet Tracer doesn't support. So if I were to show these commands on a real device, you would probably see even more commands available here. I want to repeat, however, that Packet Tracer is an excellent resource for the CCNA, and you don't really need to use anything else for your CCNA. One more thing. Notice the command I used to view the available commands. You can use a question mark to view the commands that are available to you.
I believe that works on most
Now I
command
want to show you a
lines.
convenient feature of the CLI. That is the tab key. In the sample output here, notice the first line says EN, the second says enable, and then I entered privileged exec mode.
Yeah, you don't have to write this whole
Well, if you
word.
press tab, the CLI will automatically complete the word for you
But
and
you don't
display the
even need
complete
to
word
do
on a
that.
new
You
line.
just need to hit enter.
However, another convenient thing is that you don't even need to complete the command.
Yeah.
Here I just typed EN and hit enter, and I was brought to
because
privileged exec mode.
that's the only command that
This
has
can really save you a
EN
lot of
in it.
typing when you're
That's why
entering
you
many
can-
commands.
That's why you can
There
just
are limits
put
to this, however.
config.
Although en was enough for the router to understand that I meant to use the command enable, that's because it's the only command that begins with en that can be entered in user exec mode.
Right.
If I type just e, however, we are told that it is an ambiguous command. That's because there's more than one command that begins with e. How can we view the commands that begin with e? Well, remember the question mark from before? If I type e, followed by a question mark, it displays the possible commands that begin with e. There are two, enable and exit. So if I type just e and hit enter, the router doesn't know which command I want to use. So the shortest form of the enable command is en, and the shortest form of the exit command would be ex. Now let's actually make some changes to the router's configuration.
Okay.
To do so, we enter global configuration mode.
Yep.
The command to enter global configuration mode is configure terminal.
Yep.
When in global configuration mode, config is inserted after the
I
host
think
name.
you can just put config t.
Once again, you don't have to type the whole word.
Yeah.
Notice I type con, followed by the question mark, and there are two
Oh,
options,
you don't have to
configure
put
and connect.
config. You can just put
So the
con
shortest
F.
possible command for configure is conf, C-O-N-F.
Wow.
However, terminal is the only option beginning with T. So all I need to type
Now I usually put config, and the reason why is because config is also the same command for PC. So if I'm looking for my IP address or something like that, I'll go to config IP config, and then that'll tell me like all my stuff for my PC. So I don't not like one's better than the other, but like that's why like I'm always gonna say config. Also, it's already like established right here.
is conf T to enter global configuration mode. From now on, in all of my lab demonstrations and such, I will probably be typing conf T instead of configure terminal. Try to remember that the full command is configure terminal, but also feel free to use the shortcuts. Now, we don't want just anyone to be able to make changes to the network configuration,
Right.
or even be able to just look at the configuration, because that could be a security risk. We can protect privileged exec mode with a password, so that if a user enters the enable command from user exec mode, they are asked for the password. That is done with the command enable password in global configuration mode. First, I want to clarify the use of the question mark. Notice that I use the question mark with no space after password. Here is the output. If you use the question mark with no space, it shows you all possible completions of that word. I already typed the full word password, so it just displays the word again. And there are no other words that begin with P-A-S-S-W-O-R-D. Next, I use the question mark again, this time with a space after password. Notice the difference in the output. This time it shows all possible options we could enter next in the command. In this case, I use the middle one. Notice that line is in all capital letters.
Whoa, I didn't know that. That would have saved me so much grief in my CCNA courses. So if there is no space, it tells you what is possible, like what you're trying to figure out in terms of like the command. But if you put a space in there, it tells you what the possible commands are next to that combine with that word combination. That's so cool. So then down here, he put enable password CCNA question mark, and then CR came back. And so meaning that there is nothing else for it to do. So then enable password CCNA, and then the password is now CCNA.
That means you don't actually type line, L-I-N-E, you type a line, which will become the password. I typed CCNA in all capitals as the password. Note that passwords are case sensitive, so CCNA in capital letters and CCNA in lowercase letters are different passwords. Once again, I type the question mark to check if there are any further options. This CR means that there are no further options.
Yep.
The only option is to press enter to enter the command. I pressed enter, and now the password is set. Let's test it. So let's test out our password. I type exit to return to privileged exec mode. From privileged exec mode, if I type exit again, I'm logged out of the device and see the starting screen again.
So there's three different modes that he was in. He was in user mode, which is the default. Then he went to privilege exec mode, and then he was in the config terminal, which you can only get to through privilege exec mode. Okay.
If I press enter here, I am brought back to user exec mode. If I enter the enable command, I am asked for a password. No password displays here, but I am brought to privileged exec mode.
Yeah.
That's because the password does not display as you type it, for security purposes.
Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie
Also,
to you.
note
Like
that if you
that
enter the wrong
kind of
password
throws
3
me for a
times,
loop sometimes.
you will be denied access for having bad secrets. I think everyone has bad secrets of some kind, but in this case, it means an incorrect password.
Jeremy.
Let's review what we've done so far. In my
What? I'm
experience,
not
it was difficult to
subscribed.
get used to operating in the CLI when I first
Subscribe to
started learning.
Jeremy.
So we'll take it slow and review along the way. Also, make sure to check out the next video after you finish this, which will have you doing these tasks in Packet Tracer. Hands-on practice is absolutely essential to get comfortable with the CLI. So, I use the enable command to enter privileged exec mode. From privileged exec mode, I use configure terminal to enter global configuration mode. In global configuration mode, I use the command enable password CCNA to
Okay, so we started out user, then we went to privileged mode, and then we went to global configuration mode, which is configure terminal. Okay, this is all making sense. Okay, and then he went to enable password, and then he typed the password. It's literally that simple. Enable password, and then you type said password. And then he exited, and then he did it. Okay, he exited, went back down to user mode. Then he tried to hit enable, which is going to enable user exec mode, not user exec mode, privilege exec mode. He types the password. Nothing shows for security purposes. And then we know it worked. There's no like, yay, you did it. It just gives you the thing.
protect privileged exec mode with a password. Remember, this password is case sensitive. Then I type exit to return to privileged exec mode, and exit again to return to user exec mode.
Exit again.
I type enable again, then I enter the password, which isn't displayed as I type it, and I am brought back into privileged exec mode. We confirmed the function of the password, but let's take a look at the configuration file itself to check it. First, I want to explain the two configuration files kept on the device. As I said, there are two separate configuration files kept on the device at once. One is the running config. This is the current active configuration file on the device. As you enter commands in the CLI, you edit the active configuration. The startup config is the configuration file that will be loaded upon restart of the device.
Yes.
If you reload the device or shut it down and then turn it on later, the startup config will be loaded.
It's been a long time.
So let's take a look at the configuration files. Use the show running config command in global configuration mode to view the running configuration file. There is lots of data in the file by default, so I only included the output up to the command we entered. Here's the command: enable password CCNA in the running config. How about the startup config? You can view it with the show startup config command. However, as you can see at this point, it just displays the message startup config is not present.
Right.
This is because we haven't saved the running
yeah.
configuration yet.
You haven't done anything
So every
yet.
time we restart the router, it would load a default configuration, not the startup configuration. Let's save the configuration file. There are actually three ways you can save the running configuration to make it the startup configuration. All three of these commands are executed from privileged exec mode. The first is write. It says building configuration, and then an OK message to indicate that the configuration was saved. The second method is write memory. It performs the same function. The third command is copy running config startup config.
Yes.
This tells
I've
the
done
router
that
to
one
copy the
before.
running config file to the startup config file, again, performing the same function as the previous two commands. Now, if I use the show startup config command again, it displays the same configuration as the show running config command. Once again, however, this is only the beginning of the output. There is more below. We'll check it out in the Packet Tracer Lab video
Postname,
coming up next.
Enable password. There's even a
Now,
secret password.
you can see the enable password right here in plain text. This is a security risk, because anyone who simply takes a glance at this password knows how to get into privileged exec mode, and then global configuration mode to make changes to the device. Let's level up the security a bit. You can do so with the service password encryption command in global configuration mode.
Yeah.
Notice I used the short version of configure terminal, conft, to enter global configuration mode. Remember that all of these commands have shortcuts. I'll usually use the full command for these instructional videos, but in the labs, when I enter the commands live, you'll see me using the shortcuts a lot. Anyway, the service password encryption command will encrypt all passwords in a jumble of numbers and letters, so that they cannot be easily read. If I enter the show running config command again, notice that the password CCNA has become 08026F6028. The password itself hasn't changed. It is still CCNA. Only the way it is displayed in the configuration has changed. Also, you may notice that a 7 has appeared before the password. This number 7 indicates the type of encryption used to encrypt the password.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
The number
that.
7 means it is using Cisco's proprietary encryption algorithm from the service password encryption command. Later in this video, you will see another number in that place. While using the service password encryption command is more secure than not using it, it's still not very secure. In this screenshot, I simply searched for a Cisco Type 7 password cracker on Google,
Oh my
found this
God.
website, and was able to crack the password in a few seconds.
Oh my god, dude. It's like Rule 34, except instead of porn, it's like anything. Like anything you want on the internet is on the internet. Like, oh my god, that's so funny. Like Type 7 password, crack password. Like, that's,
The good news, though, is that there is a more secure enable password that can be used on Cisco devices with a tougher type of encryption. The more secure method is to use the enable secret command instead of the enable password command. This time I used a password of Cisco with an uppercase C.
I was always told to do both. because it's like having two locks on your door. Like you have the one lock on your front door that just has like the little push button, and it's like, I mean, yeah, your door is locked, but you could like someone could get through. And then there's the deadbolt, and someone might be able to hack the deadbolt, but at the same time, like now there's two locks that they got to get through. You know, just more form of resistance.
Once again, this is case sensitive. Then I view the running configuration once more. However, since I was still in global configuration mode, I typed do in front of the command. This is a convenient trick that allows you to execute privileged exec mode commands like show running config or show startup config in other configuration levels. Also, notice I used shortcuts, sh instead of show, and run instead of running config. Now you can see the enable secret in the running configuration. Notice the number 5 before the encrypted password.
Jesus
Number 5 indicates
Christ.
MD5 type encryption, which is much more secure than what we got with the service password encryption command. It can still be cracked. No password is invincible, but it's much better.
Yeah,
Also,
I guess
notice that
that's
the enable
true.
password command remains. It isn't replaced. However, if both the enable secret and enable password commands are configured, the enable password will be ignored. Only the enable secret will be valid.
Oh, I didn't
One final
know
note.
that.
The service password encryption command has no effect on the enable secret command. The enable
So
secret
then
is
how
always
come in all my CCNA stuff, it had us do both? It would have us enable the password, and then it would have us hide the password, and then it would have us enable secret password. That's so interesting. Well, when we start doing those packet tracers, we'll talk about it more then.
Whether or not you entered the service password encryption command. So really, you should always use the enable secret instead of the enable password, as it is more secure.
Just like you should always use
Now I want to show you one more thing in the CLI
SSH
before we move on to the
instead of
quiz
sonate.
for today's video. That is, how you cancel or delete a command that you entered. That is done by typing no in front of the command. For example, if I type no in front of the service password encryption command, future passwords will no longer be encrypted. However, as you can see here, passwords which are already encrypted will not be decrypted by disabling service password encryption.
Okay.
If I enter a new password, however, it will be in clear text, not encrypted. So,
That's good to
let me
know.
summarize the service password encryption command. If you enable the service password encryption command, current passwords will be encrypted. Future passwords will also be encrypted. Once again, however, the enable secret will not be affected. It is always encrypted.
Okay.
If you disable service password encryption, current passwords will not be decrypted. They will remain encrypted. Future passwords will not be encrypted. They will remain in clear text.
Okay.
The enable secret will not be affected. Once again, it is always encrypted.
That makes sense.
Let's review all of the commands and such we've learned in this lesson.
Yeah, let's do it.
First, the different modes of the Cisco CLI we looked at today. First is user exec mode, indicated by the greater than sign.
Yeah, which is normal. That's
Next
like
is privileged exec
default.
mode, indicated by a pound or hashtag. Finally
Enable.
is global configuration mode, indicated by
Config T.
config in brackets plus the hashtag. Now let's review some commands. The first is enable, which is used to enter privileged exec mode. Next is configure terminal, which is used to enter global configuration mode.
Config T.
Next is enable password, which configures a password to protect privileged exec mode. The next command is service password encryption, which encrypts the enable password, as well as other passwords, which we can configure on the device. Enable secret, which configures a more secure enable password, which is always encrypted.
Enable secret, and then you put
Next
the
is
password.
run, which is used in front of a privileged exec level command to let you run it in global.
Huh? All right, hold on. All right.
Configuration mode. The next command is no, which is used to remove a command which you previously configured, to
Oh.
run it in global configuration mode.
Damn it. No, I want.
Password, as well as
Sorry.
other passwords, which we can configure on the device. Enable secret, which configures a more secure enable password, which is always encrypted. Next is run, which is used in front of a privileged exec level command to let you run it in global configuration mode.
Oh, okay. A privileged level exec. Okay, okay. I didn't know what this part was. Now I understand.
The next command is no, which is
Which
used to remove a command which you
removes
previously
commands.
configured. Next is show running config, which displays the current active configuration file on the device.
If you're not already, you should
Show
subscribe to
startup
Jeremy's
config displays
Tech
the
Lab.
saved configuration file,
great.
which will be loaded if the device is restarted. Okay, last three, and these are all used to save the current running configuration and make it the startup configuration. They are write memory, and copy running config, startup config. Okay,
hold
let's
on.
move.
No, no, go back. Okay. So, right, saves the configuration. Saves the configuration. Are they the same command?
write memory, and copy running config,
Copy running config startup config saves the configuration.
startup config. Okay, let's move on to this video's quiz.
No,
First
I don't
up, question
understand.
one.
I don't understand.
Which is used in front of a privileged exec level command to let you run it in global configuration mode. The next command is no, which is used to remove a command which you previously configured. Next is show running config, which displays the current active configuration file on the device. Show startup config displays the saved configuration file, which will be loaded if the device is restarted. Okay, last three, and these are all used to save the current running configuration and make it the startup configuration. They are write,
So they all three of them just do the same thing?
write memory, and copy running config, startup config. Okay, let's move on to this video's
Okay,
quiz.
let's go to the quiz.
First up, question one. What kind of cable is used to connect to a Cisco device via the RJ45 console port? A, rollover cable. B,
Yeah.
crossover cable.
No, rollover
Or
cable.
C, USB cable. Pause the video to think about your answer. The answer is A, rollover cable. Let's check the answers. A crossover cable is used to connect two devices, for example, switch and switch, or router and router, or router and PC, etc., via Ethernet. It is not used to connect to a Cisco device via the RJ45 console port. So B, crossover cable, is incorrect. This picture shows the wiring on an Ethernet crossover cable.
Oh,
Although USB cables can be used to connect to the
Whatever, it's
console of a Cisco device, the USB console port is separate from the RJ45 console port. So C, USB cable, is incorrect. This photo shows the USB and RJ45 console ports on a Cisco switch.
it's because the serial port has to be connected
A
to the
rollover
PC.
cable is used to connect to the RJ45 console port on a Cisco device. So A, rollover cable, is the correct answer. This image shows the wiring in a rollover cable, connecting pin 1 on one side to pin 8 on the other side, pin 2 to pin 7, pin 3 to pin 6, etc. Let's go to question 2. You type enable to enter privileged exec mode on your Cisco router. However, the password you enter is not accepted. What could be the problem? A, service password encryption is enabled. B, service password encryption is disabled.
No,
Or C, caps lock is on.
probably caps lock.
Pause
is
the
on.
video to think about your answer.
Because the encryption doesn't matter if you're entering in.
The answer is C, caps lock is on.
Yeah.
Let's check. Service password encryption is irrelevant. It doesn't change the password itself, only how it is displayed in the configuration. So A, service password encryption is enabled, and B, service password encryption is disabled, are incorrect. Passwords are case sensitive, so if caps lock is on, it could cause you to enter an incorrect password, even
That
if you
makes
think you're
sense.
entering it correctly. So C, caps lock is on, is the correct answer. Let's go to question 3. What is the most secure method to protect access to privileged exec mode? A, the enable secret command.
Yes.
B, the enable password command.
No.
Or C, the enable password command with service password encryption. Pause the
No.
video to think about your
It's
answer.
the secret, because the secret command's always encrypted.
The answer is A, the enable secret command.
Yep.
Let's check.
And it's
The
always
enable password
invisible,
command
too.
configures a plain text password, which is not secure, as it can be easily read. So B, enable password, is incorrect. Using service password encryption encrypts the enable password to make it more secure, but
Yeah,
it is a
someone
weak
had
form
to
of
make
encryption.
that.
So
Like,
C,
that had to
enable
be a
password
feature.
with
You
service
know what I
password
mean?
encryption, is incorrect. The enable secret command configures a password that is automatically encrypted. It uses MD5, a more secure form of encryption than the service password encryption command. So A, the enable secret command, is the correct answer. Let's go to question 4. If both the enable password and enable secret command are configured, what will happen when you use enable to enter privileged exec mode? A, you must enter the enable password, followed by the enable secret.
No.
B, you must enter the enable password only.
No.
Or C, you must enter the enable secret only.
Yeah,
Pause the video to
secret
think about your
only,
answer.
Because once you, which I didn't know this.
The
once
answer
you,
is C, you must
you
enter
do
the
the
enable
secret,
only.
it overrides
There's
the
not much
enable
else to explain
password.
here. The enable secret always takes precedence over the enable password,
Yep.
and you'll never be asked to enter both. So C, you must enter the enable secret only, is the correct answer. Let's go to the final question. You enter the conft command to enter global configuration mode. What is the full-length version of the command?
Oh,
A,
config terminal.
configuration time.
No.
B, configure terminal.
Yeah, configure
Or
terminal.
C, configuration terminal.
No, just
Pause the video to
configure
think about your
terminal.
answer. The answer is B, configure terminal. Again, no special explanation is necessary here.
Ooh.
Even though the shortcuts are great to use to reduce the amount of typing you have to do to enter commands, make sure you still know the full-length version of the commands.
Yep.
In addition to the quiz we just did, there are a couple other supplementary materials to help you remember what you learned. The first is review flashcards.
Yeah,
Check the
we're
link in
gonna
the
do that
description.
after we do the packet tracer.
These flashcards will be extremely helpful when memorizing all of these commands and how they work. In addition, there will also be a packet tracer practice lab
Yep.
to give you
that's what we're
hands-on
about to do
practice
right
configuring Cisco devices in the CLI. Especially for this video, I highly recommend you do the practice lab. It will really help you get used to the CLI. That lab will be in the next video. Thank you for watching. That's all for this video. If you want to show your support, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and share the video with anyone else studying for the CCNA. I accept donations via cryptocurrency or Patreon via the
I
links in the...
accept donations via cryptocurrency. Hey, me too. All right. We're going to do the packet tracer. If it'll open. There it goes. All right, cool. So we're going to change the host name for the router and the switch because it should be technically the same. Not the same name. It should be the same process. To the appropriate names, R1, SW1. Use the host name command to in global config mode. Configure an encrypted enable password of CCNA on both devices. Exit back and to user exec mode to test the password. View the password in running config. Ensure the current password and all future passwords are encrypted. View the password is running config. Okay, we can do this. We should be able to do this. Oh.
Welcome to Jeremy's IT Lab. This is a free, complete course for the CCNA 200-301. If you like these videos, please subscribe to follow along with the series. Also, please like and leave a comment and share the video to help spread this free series of videos. Thanks for your help.
Yeah,
let's get
subscribe
started.
To Jeremy's tech videos.
In this
He's
lab,
great.
we'll finally get hands-on in the Cisco iOS CLI, the command line interface. If you've already watched the Day 4 lecture video, you should be able to complete these tasks on your own. Even if you can, I recommend watching this video after to check and get any additional explanations. So we've got a small network here with a few PCs, a switch, and a router. Our tasks involve some basic configurations on the router and switch. For this video, I will only configure the router. However, I recommend that you go through the steps on both devices. Repetition is essential to get used to all of the commands you need to know, so remember to configure both devices. Step 1 is to set the appropriate host names for each device, R1 and switch 1. We didn't cover the command in the main video, but to do so you use the hostname command in global configuration mode. Click on the device, and then select CLI to access the command line interface from which we will configure each device. Now, in the lecture video I explained about...
Okay, hold on. Why is this white? I feel like that was me doing some dumb shit. That was like in the very first... Okay, whatever. I'll fix that later. But that... Oh my god, that really bothers me. It's green and white. That is horrible. Hold on. I gotta fix this right now. Open the preference menu in the top left bar options. Navigate to fonts. Okay, I want the... Why did I put white? Black. That's what we want. Okay, so now if we go here. Oh, yes, it's so much better. Okay, sorry about that. Let's continue.
About how to connect to the console port of a device. In Packet Tracer, you can actually do that. Connect a PC to the console port of the device, and then use the PC to do the configurations. However, simply clicking on the device itself is much more convenient, so that's what we'll be doing for these labs.
Yep.
Just keep in mind that in real life, you can't configure the device directly on the device itself. You have to connect to it with a computer. The current hostname for each device is displayed here. As you can see, by default, the hostname is router. To change the hostname, we must enter global configuration mode. However, to get there, we must first enter privileged exec mode. This is achieved by using the enable command.
Okay. See, this happened to me all the time too. I accidentally hit an F while I was doing it. I don't know why I hit an F, but I did. and then now it's trying to translate it to a domain server or something. On a Cisco, no, let's say in packet tracer. Tracer, I typed the wrong command and now it is translating X dot domain. I know it just fixed itself, but I need to know how to end it. There's a way to end it. How do I stop it from doing that once it starts? I need coming back and being smart with me, saying don't type it wrong. No, you misunderstood. Okay, there it is. Control Shift 6. I knew it was something like that. Okay. Let's get back to it here. So, enable. And then what's it want us to do? It wants us to get an unencrypt password. So I'm pretty sure it's just password.
Demonstrate a shortcut, I will use the
No,
exit
Control
command
T.
to return to the previous exec mode. Notice that you can enter privileged exec mode by simply typing EN. You can also type EN and then use tab to autocomplete it to enable, but this isn't necessary. EN alone is fine. E, however, is too short, and we are told this is an ambiguous command.
Yeah.
This is because there are other potential commands that begin with E, which we can see by typing E and then a question mark. As you can see, there are two potential commands, enable and exit. So if you just enter E, the router doesn't know which command you mean. However, enable is the only command beginning with EN, so EN is all the router needs to know which command you mean.
Got it.
Now that we are in privileged exec mode, we can use the configure terminal command to get to global configuration mode. If you want to use shortcuts again, as we did with enable and EN, the shortest version of the configure terminal command is conft. From here, we can set the hostname of the router. This is done with the hostname command. I will enter hostname R1. As you can see, the hostname has changed from router to R1.
Yep.
Change the hostname of switch 1 as well, and that's all for step 1.
Now, it's important to know that the internal name of what it is different than what it is here, because it already says R1, switch 1, SW1, and PC1 too. These are different. Like, that is just like a part of the program for it to explain to you like what these things are. These shouldn't reflect this, like what this is here. Now, I think it can, but it's don't get caught up on their names here. Make sure you understand what their names are inside the terminal.
Step 2 is to set the unencrypted enable password on each device to CCNA. The enable password is used to enter privileged exec mode, which is also called enable mode. Previously, we had no password set, so we were able to enter privileged exec mode without any password. Now we are going to protect privileged exec mode so that only administrators can access it. The command is simple, and it is done in global configuration mode, which we are already in.
Yep.
Type enable password CCNA. That's it. Now let's test it out, which is step 3. From here, I will use the exit command twice, once to bring me back to privileged exec mode, and then once again to bring me back to user exec mode.
Okay.
Now I will use the enable command again. However, this time I am asked for a password. The characters do not appear as I type. However, if I type the password CCNA correctly and press enter, I am brought to privileged exec mode. Now let's see what happens if I fail to enter the correct password. I enter the wrong password once, twice, and then 3 times before being rejected for having bad secrets. Now I will try again with the correct password, and I'm in. Step 3 is now complete. Step 4 is simply to view the password in the running configuration. The running configuration is the current active configuration of the router, whether or not you have actually saved it. If you turn off the router without saving the running configuration, you will lose any changes. If you want to keep your changes, you have to save them to the startup configuration. To view the running configuration, use the show running config command from privileged exec mode, which we are already in. You can abbreviate it too. For example, sh run.
You can just
Enter the
space
command,
bar to hit
and you can see the password right here, with the exact command we used before.
There it is.
Enable password CCNA. As you can see, it is not encrypted. It is written in clear text right here. Let's solve that in step 5. So step 4 is now complete. Step 5 is to enable password encryption on the devices. We can protect passwords by encrypting them to render them unreadable. This is done from global configuration mode with the command service password encryption.
Service.
Conf T, service password encryption. Okay, that's all for step 5. Step 6 is to once again view the running config. I will use the same command as before, and now let's check the password. However,
Hold on,
the
why did mine not work? Oh, because I'm not in, there we go, now, service, password, encrypt. There's a rule, there's rules for why it gets a dash and why it doesn't get a dash. I do not remember what that rule is. What? Oh shit, I misspelled it. There we go.
command doesn't work. That is because
Let's actually ask our buddy over here. When putting in commands and Cisco CLI, some commands have a dash and some do not. Is there a rule or a reason why some do and no reason why a is used? Let's see what it says real quick. Just thinking. It's big hard for us. Oh. Hyphen means this type of command. Yes, there is a reason, but it's not as deep. Oh, I could have sworn it was. In Cisco, the hyphen is usually used when Cisco wants multiple words to act like one command. Oh, so that's what it is. It is kind of deep, but it's not as, yeah. So when you use the hyphen, it's the router or the switch is utilizing that as like one word. Okay. Because they have running and they have config, but running config is its own thing. Okay. I know that doesn't really matter and probably was like went way more in depth than what we needed, but I needed to know. All right. Anyway, back at it.
because we are currently in global configuration mode, and show running config must be entered from privileged exec mode. Now, I could type exit to drop back to privileged exec mode and then enter the command. But there is one more way, which I demonstrated in the lecture video. If I type do in front of the command, I can enter it from global configuration mode. Do show running config. There we go. Let's look at the password. You can see here, enable password, followed by a 7, and then a string of other numbers.
If you hit enter when it says more, it's just only going to go down one line. But if you hit plus, or not plus, if you hit spacebar, it's going to go a full page down. Now, what we're looking for is... Well, mine obviously didn't take. Probably because I was too busy jacking around with shit that didn't matter. So... Service, password, encrypt. Did I do that right? I feel like that's not right. Okay. And then that should be it, right? So now I should be able to go to... Oh, hold on. Hey. Alright, hold on. I gotta go pick up the cat food, or the dog food real quick. Okay, I'm back. Man, that was fast. Okay.
Successfully being encrypted. Full configuration lecture video. Drop back. Once again, encryption. Okay,
Okay.
that's all for step 5. Step 6 is to once again view the running config. I will use the same command as before, and now let's check the password. However, the command doesn't work. That is because we are currently in global configuration mode, and show running config must be entered from privileged exec mode. Now, I could type exit to drop back to privileged exec mode, and then enter the command. But there is one more way, which I demonstrated in the lecture video. If I type do in front of the command, I can enter it from global configuration mode. Do show running config. There we go. Let's look at the password. You can see here, enable password, followed by a 7, and then a string of other numbers. The password has successfully been encrypted. Although we didn't type this 7 when we entered the command, it refers to the type of encryption used. There are other types as well. The string of numbers that follow are the password CCNA, encrypted to be unreadable so that anyone looking over our shoulder can't read the password. Keep in mind that the encryption used in the service password encryption command isn't very secure and can be cracked, but this at least renders the password safe from someone simply glancing over your shoulder. Step 6 is now complete. Step 7 is to configure a more secure, encrypted enable password of Cisco. That can be done with the enable secret command. The enable secret uses MD5 encryption, which is more secure than what you get with the service password encryption command. Since we're already in global configuration mode, let's enter the command. Enable secret Cisco. Now let's go on to step 8, which is to exit back to user exec mode and try to log in. Exit, exit. Okay, now let's try to get back to privileged exec mode. Enable. Let's try our original password of CCNA. It doesn't work anymore. How about our newly configured enable secret? Cisco. Okay, that works. As you can see, if both an enable secret and enable password are configured, only the enable secret can be used. The enable password becomes invalid. Step 9 is to once again view the passwords in the running configuration.
Uh-oh.
Show running config.
Uh-oh, I think I locked myself out of the terminal. CCNA. There it goes. No, bad secrets. That's not good. I gotta run it back. What? Did I type it wrong? Oh, it's Cisco, not CCNA. Dang it. What do I suck? Enable Cisco. I made it in, boys.
There they are. Once again, the enable password with service password encryption enabled uses type 7 encryption, indicated by this 7 here. The enable secret uses type 5 encryption, which is MD5 encryption. Step 10 is to save the running configuration to the startup configuration.
Password. Oh, he did show run. Yes, there it is.
There are 3 ways to do this. One is write, another is write memory, and the third is copy running config, startup config. Let's check if it's saved. Show startup config.
Hold on. So there's 3 ways to do this. What I don't understand is what is the difference between the 3? Like,
config.
so we can just do write. So it's building configuration. Okay. We can write memory. Or copy running config start up config. So then
Let's check if it's saved. Show startup config. There's the config, and you can see the passwords we configured here. If I scroll through with enter, you can see lots of other default settings for the device here. Step 10 is now complete.
if you hit up on the arrows, it'll put the last one that you did. Yep, there we go.
Thank you for watching. That's all for this video. If you want to show your support, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and
Jesus, go away. Okay, cool. Definitely subscribe to Jeremy's Lab. Why am I not? I've already subscribed. Okay, whatever. So definitely subscribe to him. This is one that I'm probably gonna do a few times just to get it, like, you know, practice and memorize it in my hands and whatnot. No, do not save. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna do the flashcards. Oh, that's 4. I need, or no, I want 4. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's do them. Okay, configure an MD5 encryption enable password route. Is config. What is the question? Configure an MD5 encrypted enabled password. Oh, what's the command? Service password encrypted or encryption, and then you put the password. Enable, no, service password is like the normal one. Enable secret password. Ooh, these might be a little difficult. These are gonna be good though. Default Cisco console port setting. Did we go over this? I don't remember going over that. Okay. We'll come back to that one. Console service password encryption command uses type blank encryption. Service password encryption. Oh, 7. Enter global configuration mode. Router, it's just enabled. No. That's already in it. Enabled. Config T. Configure an encrypted password to protect privilege exec mode. It's going to be service password encryption. Enable password. Configure an encrypted password to protect privilege exec mode. I thought you had to put the word encryption in there. Oh, unencrypted. Configure an unencrypted. Ugh, damn it, dude. You got to read these things. Configure a MD5 encrypted password. I just had this one. I know this. Enable secret password. Yep, enable secret, and then you put the password. The command is not enable secret password. The command is enable secret, and then this is the password that you type that you want it to be. The blank keyword to remove a configured command. Wasn't it no? No, for example, no service password encryption. Yeah, this one's going to require a little bit of help. What is the lowest level mode? User. User exec mode. Yeah. What kind of cable is used to connect the RJ45 console port on the Cisco switch? A crossover, not a crossover, a rollover cable. What two configuration files are kept on the device? Startup and running. Yeah, running config and startup config. And we learned that the dash means that it's one word. In the eyes of the router or the switch, when there's a dash, this is one word. Default Cisco's console port settings. Speed. How would I know this? We didn't go over this. Did we? We did. These are the default settings. Okay, we did go over this. 9600 bits. Okay, enable secret user types blank MD encryption. Enable secret users type. Isn't it just enable secret? Enable secret users type 5. I don't understand this one. Enable secret users type 5 MD5 encryption. Oh, no, not users. Uses. Enable secret uses type 5 level of encryption. Our level 5 MD5 level encryption. Okay. Man, dude, like, you misread one word, you're totally sunk. View the available commands router. Question mark. Yep. Oh, and then that was a really cool thing that we learned is that if it's question mark immediately after, then it's going to, like, if I type enable and then question mark, all of the commands that are for like enable are going to come up. But if I type enable space question mark, then all the commands that have enable first, a space, and then a word are going to come up. That's really, really useful. I did not know that. That's going to help like memorize a lot of these commands. View the startup configuration. Show startup. Yeah, show up startup config. View the running configuration. View run, I believe. Yeah, view running configuration. No, show, not view. Words matter. Enter privilege exec mode. Enable. In Cisco IOS, privilege exec mode is indicated by what router? What? In Cisco IOS, privilege exec mode is indicated by what? Oh, the hashtag. Or the pound sign for you old people. Okay. In Cisco ISO, iOS, I have a hard time saying that. User exec mode is indicated with a greater than sign. Default Cisco console port settings. Yes. Okay. Now I remember this now. It's the default port settings, but I don't remember what this is. None. It's just as none. That is very interesting that it adds 1 bit after every 8 to show what, like, where it starts and where it stops. That's very interesting. Okay. In Cisco IOS, what mode provides complete access to view the device configuration files? Privileged? Yeah. What 2 kinds of console ports are common on Cisco devices? Ethernet, USB Type B. Yep. RJ45. You use the blank keyword to execute. Excuse me. You use the blank keyword to execute privilege exec mode commands in global configuration mode. Now, what is this saying? You use the blank keyword to execute privilege exec commands. Service? Do? We never typed the word do. Okay. Use the word do and to execute privilege exec commands. I didn't know that. Maybe I did and I didn't realize it. Default Cisco console port settings. Data. Oh, that's the 9600. Oh, it's 8. I don't know anything. Look, man, I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude pretending to be a dude who's pretending to be another dude. Okay. Default Cisco console port settings stop bits 1. Yeah, that's it. Like separates it. So the other one is the amount of bits that that's going, which is usually 8, and then the 1 is what interrupts it, so that way you see what's going on. I wonder if that's indicated with a 0 or 1, or if it matters. Okay, encrypt current the future password on the device router config. Encrypt current. Encrypt current and future password on the device router config. Isn't that just secret encryption? Enable secret? Sir, oh, no. Okay. I see, I got the secret password and the normal password confused. Enable current and future password on the device router. Config, privilege exec mode, service password encryption. I need to make like a tree of like, here's user, and then user gets you to privilege exec mode, and then privilege exec mode branches out to get you these things. I need to see it in like a tree, and I think that'll help me out tremendously. Return to privilege exec mode. Exit. If service password encryption is removed, if service password encryption is removed, will currently encrypted passwords be decrypted? No. Okay. Default Cisco console port settings, flow control. Is that the 96? None. I'm going to have a hard time memorizing those default settings. It's Cisco IOS. Excuse me. In Cisco iOS, man, that is so hard for me to say. In Cisco iOS, global configuration mode is indicated by what? Hashtag and then config. Oh, config hashtag. Cisco service password encryption command uses type blank encryption. 7. Which 3 commands can be saved? Oh, you have the running startup and running config. You have write and write memory. Yep. Copy, not run. Configure an encrypted password to protect privilege exec mode. That is going to be service password encryption. Enable password. Oh, unencrypted. Damn it. I misread it again. Okay, configure an MD5 encrypted enabled password. That's going to be enable secret. Yep. It's simpler than I think it is. It's so simple that I have a hard time believing that it works. Use the blank word to do a configure to remove. No. Yep. Enable global configuration mode router. Enable. No. Config T. What 2 configuration files are kept on the device? Startup and running. Running config, startup config. What is the lowest mode in Cisco? That's the user. Excuse me. I need water. I'm thirsty. Default Cisco console port settings. Speed. The Buddha rate. Was that 8? No. That one was 96. What kind of cable is used to connect the RJ45 console port to the Cisco device? Not a crossover, a rollover. Boom. Whoa. Okay, here we go. Almost done. View the startup configuration router. Startup config? Show startup config. Okay. In Cisco IOS, user exec mode is indicated by what? That is the hashtag. No. User exec mode. Greater than sign. View the running configuration. Show running config. Enable secret uses type 5 MD5. View the available commands. Router. Okay, it's question mark. Enter privilege exec mode is just enable. Okay, now it's getting easier. What 2 kinds of console ports are common on Cisco devices? USB and RJ45. In Cisco iOS, what mode provides common access to view the device's configuration files? What mode provides complete access? Is it privilege? Privilege exec mode. That makes sense. Default Cisco console port settings. 8? None. Damn. I am tired. I stayed up way too late playing Gears of War, and then I woke up to a whole bunch of crap in my, literally a whole bunch of crap in my office. In Cisco iOS, privilege exec mode is indicated by what? A hashtag. Default Cisco console port settings, data bits, 8. You use the blank keyword to execute do. I wish it gave me an example of that. Return to privilege exec mode, router config, exit. Nailed it. Default Cisco console port settings, stop bits, 1. Yep. Default Cisco console port flow control, 96. None. Damn it. Encrypts current and future passwords on the device. Enable password encrypt. Service password encryption. Damn it. I'm like almost there. If service passwords encryption is removed, will currently encrypted passwords be... No, it won't. And Cisco IOS global configuration mode is indicated by what? Config in parentheses with a hashtag. Write memory, and then copy running config, save config. All right. Okay. Tomorrow not tomorrow. On Monday we'll do another study session. Study sessions are always going to be on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Sometimes 7 a.m. 7:30. Just kind of pay attention. It depends on what I have going on else in the morning and later in the day. I'm trying to knock it out like early. I'm trying to take care of it like beforehand. So study sessions are on Monday, Wednesday. Gaming sessions are on Tuesday, Thursday. Study sessions are in the morning, and then gaming sessions are at night. So that's what's going on. We'll finish Gears of War. I don't know what we're gonna play after we do Gears of War. Maybe the original Halo, just because the new Halo is gonna come out. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I'll think about that. Maybe we'll just play a bunch of retro games or anything like that. I don't know. But anyway, make sure you subscribe to Jeremy's Tech Lab. It's in the description down below. He is absolutely amazing. All of it is really, really good. If you want any of my AI prompts of like how I study, just let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to my tech channel, which is just Tyler Lamond. If you found me through there, that's awesome. If you're on Paradiddle Pete, please go ahead and give my Tyler Lamond channel a subscribe. That's where I have a bunch of videos and things going on. I do a bunch of lab works and things like that. So if yeah, check it out. And as always, work with what you got and build what you need. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.